There are exactly 9 beings in the entire universe boat that even true gods are told to run from on sight. Not fight, not negotiate with, run. They are called the Lava Devil God. We are explaining exactly why the Lava Devil God earned that reputation, and how one man turned this unkillable monster into a weapon against his own enemies. Welcome back to Donghua Minute. Let's start with where these things actually live, because the environment is just as lethal as the creature itself. Beyond the Black Ocean region of the universe, Boat lies the god-destroying mountain stream, a region spanning tens of thousands of light years, split into 2 brutal halves. Above is the magma sea, an endless sky of molten rock where burning stone the size of planets occasionally breaks free and crashes downward. Below is a vast expanse of black, rocky land. Teleportation barely functions here, which means anyone caught inside this region is stuck moving the hard way, with nowhere fast to run. Out of the 892 extremely dangerous regions cataloged within the universe boat, this one ranks in the top 3. And the reason it ranks that high isn't the lava, it's what lives inside it. 9 lava devil gods patrol this territory in the entire universe boat, and that scarcity is part of what makes them so feared. Each one stands nearly 10 billion kilometers tall, a lofty figure built from sturdy rock and limitless churning lava. 4 massive arms extend from a body built purely for destruction. 3 eyes sit fixed on a hideous face, alongside a single razor fang jutting from its mouth in a permanent, silent snarl. This is not a creature designed to look impressive. It is a creature designed to look like the last thing you will ever see. Now they're powered, because this is where the true horror of the Lava Devil God actually lives. In terms of raw battle capability, these creatures sit at true god level despite possessing 0 intelligence whatsoever. An entity with the strategic awareness of a rock still manages to overwhelm cultivators who have spent entire reincarnation eras clawing their way up the power hierarchy. Their combat capability heavily suppresses even peak universe masters, whether tier 5 or tier 6, to the point where a direct fight isn't just inadvisable, it's mathematically impossible. Universe masters at the absolute peak of their tier cannot leave so much as a scratch on a Lava Devil God's body, no matter how coordinated or desperate their assault becomes. And that invulnerability isn't limited to universe masters. Even true gods, supreme beings who stand at the top of an entire reincarnation era, struggle against them. The best outcome a true god can typically hope for is a narrow escape. Not a victory, not a stalemate, survival, and only if they're fast enough. Here's the analytical piece. These creatures are directly powered by the core energy of the universe boat itself. That means their energy reserves are effectively infinite. They never tire. They never slow down. Every tactical advantage a group of cultivators might normally exploit waiting out an opponent, forcing overextension, exploiting fatigue simply does not exist against something that draws power from the same source, keeping the entire universe boat alive. Now consider what a single hit from one of these things actually does. A slap or a stomp from a Lava Devil God can shatter pinnacle arcana weapons outright, treasures that took lifetimes to forge and refine, destroyed in a single impact. When Yin Tuo attempted to withstand a direct stomp from an awakened Lava Devil God, 90% of his divine body was instantly annihilated, and his top tier gold and soul phone armor was ruined in a single second. 90% gone in one motion, from a creature with no intelligence, no strategy, and no malice, just raw, overwhelming force applied without hesitation. But here is a detail that should terrify anyone who understands how these hierarchies typically function. Normally, when a universe master is overwhelmed in combat, their fallback plan is simple. Retreat into a flying palace, a palace-type pinnacle arcana, considered one of the most secure sanctuaries in existence, near indestructible under almost any conventional assault. Against the Lava Devil God, that safety net disappears entirely. The combination of the creature's raw physical strikes and the hyper-destructive magma sea surrounding it is powerful enough to completely crush and shatter these palaces. During one high-stakes escape, the Jin Chan Temple, a flying palace belonging to 5 Chaos Master himself, was melted and crushed under exactly this combined pressure. Your strongest defensive treasure becomes a coffin the moment you stop moving. Speed makes all of this worse. Despite a body measured in billions of kilometers, Lava Devil gods move at millions of times the speed of light, completely ignoring the universal laws that normally cap sublight travel for everyone else in the universe ocean. Most beings need precise spatial teleportation just to approach speeds this creature achieves through pure physical force alone. There is no outrunning it through conventional means. There is only the border, and then there's the gaze. Each Lava Devil god possesses 3 eyes, and through them it can unleash a colossal, Invisible wave of mental pressure, a crushing psychic weight that behaves like an artificial gravity field bearing down on the mind itself. Anyone caught in that gaze has their combat efficiency and reaction speed cut in half instantly. Because these creatures possess no soul and no individual willpower, soul-based illusions, mental manipulation, and psychic possession are completely useless against them, but the reverse is not true. Their gaze works perfectly well on you. Hesitate for even a moment to glance back, or worse, to greedily grab a nearby treasure while fleeing, and that mental weight will slow you down just enough for 4 billion kilometer arms to close the distance. So why does anyone survive an encounter with these things at all? Because of one single absolute rule etched into the survival instincts of every cultivator who has ever entered this region. The lava devil gods are bound entirely to the god-destroying mountain stream. They behave like hard-coded defense programs, triggered purely by external stimuli, spatial shockwaves from high-level combat, or the birth energy radiating off a newly formed arcana treasure. Once triggered, they attack without mercy, but cross the boundary line, and the pursuit simply ends. The creature loses interest instantly and turns back, as if a switch has been flipped in whatever passes for its mind. This single behavioral quirk is the only reason the phrase "flee on sight" actually functions as survival advice instead of a death sentence. Run for the border, don't look back, don't stop for treasure, and you live. Hesitate, and you become another statistic in a region that has already claimed far stronger beings than you. Cultivators across the universe ocean have theorized for generations about what these things actually are. Some believe they're biological puppet defense systems, engineered ages ago by whatever ancient civilization originally constructed the universe boat. Others believe something darker that they formed gradually, over countless eras. From the condensed corpses and residual energies of the ship's original crew, twisted by time into something that no longer resembles anything that once lived. Nobody knows for certain. What everyone agrees on is that no amount of combined strength changes the outcome. Even if multiple true gods group together and unleash their absolute strongest synchronized attacks against a single lava devil god, its rocky shell remains untouched. These creatures don't sit near the top of the power hierarchy. They sit permanently outside it, unkillable hazards baked into the very geography of the universe boat. During the chaos of the god-destroying mountain stream, Luo Feng found himself trapped alongside Yin Tuo, Ultimate Arrow Master, and 5 Chaos Master, all of them scrambling through the magma sea with an awakened lava devil god bearing down on the entire group. Most cultivators in that position think about exactly one thing: distance. Luo Feng thought about something else entirely. He realized, correctly, that he could not simply outrun his enemies through speed alone, not with beings this powerful converging on him from multiple directions. So instead of running blindly, he weaponized the one force in the entire region that none of them could fight back against. Using his domain-controlling treasures, he deliberately sabotaged the escape routes of his pursuers, steering them directly into the lava devil god's path while keeping his own trajectory clear. The result was catastrophic for everyone caught in that trap. Ultimate Arrow Master was completely annihilated by the combined elemental pressure of the awakened creature in the surrounding magma sea, wiped out entirely by a danger he never saw coming until it was already too late. 5. Chaos Master, arrogant and confident right up until the moment his flying palace stopped being a sanctuary, watched the Jin Chan temple melt and crush around him, barely escaping with his existence intact. This is the moment that separates Luo Feng from nearly every other cultivator. He didn't survive the lava devil god through raw power, because that path simply does not exist. He survived it and turned it into a weapon through pure calculated ruthlessness, using an entity too powerful for intelligence to matter against beings who never expected intelligence to be the deciding factor at all. And the consequences of that decision rippled far beyond the magma sea itself. When 5 Chaos Master and Ultimate Arrow Master were ravaged by the creature, they dropped priceless faction-level treasures in the chaos, including a highly coveted black token and the legendary Extermination Godly Armor. The loss of items this significant did not go unnoticed. It infuriated the ultimate leaders of the first reincarnation era, forcing 2 of their most powerful supreme true gods, the 3rd True Master and the 6th True Master, to personally mobilize and enter the dangerous universe boat themselves, hunting down Luo Feng to reclaim what had been lost. So understand what actually happened here. A mindless, unkillable, purely instinctual monster, a creature with no strategy, no intelligence, no awareness of the players caught in its territory, became the exact spark that ignited a war between Luo Feng and the peak powers of the Divine Eye race. Not through its own will, through the will of one desperate cultivator, smart enough to realize that sometimes the deadliest weapon in the room isn't the one you're holding, it's the one you point at someone else. So here's the question worth asking. If you were trapped in the god-destroying mountain stream, hunted by rivals stronger than you, with a literal unkillable god of lava awakening nearby, would you have the nerve to redirect that danger onto your enemies, the way Luo Feng did? Or does that level of calculated ruthlessness cross a line even you wouldn't dare approach? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you want the full breakdown of exactly how this escape through the magma sea led directly into Luo Feng's confrontation with 5 Chaos Master in the Deep Abyss, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because that story only gets more insane from here. This has been Donghua Minute. We will see you in the next analysis.